Yeah, thank you, Antonio, for the nice introduction, and hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. We are really happy to be here today. So we are Manuel and Flavia. We are co-founders of Immerea. Immerea, we are an interactive media company based here in Vienna, and we focus on the development of VR games and interactive installations. So we started Immerea in 2021 together with Manuel's brother, Michel, and today we are a team of 4 people, and our vision is to create projects with high artistic quality and level of experimentation. So I think here it's really important to make a little bit of our background. So Manuel and I come from art and architecture, and we often deal with artistic spatial concepts and also spatial theories, and we try to bridge here praxis and research together. In our work, we love to experiment with different media and immersive technologies and to explore how this can help us provide new ways or new perspectives into perception and interaction. So our talk today will focus at the bridge, or the intersection of these 2 practices, where interdisciplinary approaches unlock new possibilities for both the personal artistic expression as well as for creative industries.
Yeah, here's a quick overview of some of our projects. So basically, we 3 were working together since 2018, and we were focusing a lot on experimenting with different media, starting or ranging from animated short films to VR. We are also working a lot with interactive installations and hybrid performances, where we link physical spaces with digital ones. Flavia and I are also really active in the XR community. We are together with Gabs and Axel from Brisch, who are also here in the audience, are co-organizing XR Vienna together. XR Vienna is Austria's first and largest XR community, and it is a platform where we bring a place for dialogue between users and creators.
And maybe also just a little bit publicity. We have also a shared booth together with Immersive and Women Immersive Tech Europe right in the foyer, so please come visit us later.
Yeah, further, Flavia and I are also really active as speakers, and we are teaching at universities, and throughout the year we are holding different workshops, which is also part of our passion. Furthermore, Flavia and Micha were really honored this year to be involved, to be included in the Forbes 30 under 30 list.
Mano was already too old for that, unfortunately. Slightly too old.
Slightly too old.
So getting to our talk, we would like to explore with you today. So as we come from a background in architecture, space plays a really important role in our work. And our understanding of space here, especially in virtual space, it's trying to understand or to provide a different kind of space, something which goes beyond the boxes or something which is man-made, constructed. And we believe here in the power also of virtual space, in the possibility to go beyond this one-on-one representation of the physical space and of the man-made physical world. On the some point, we also like to explore more natural environments. So if we look at a man-made world, we live a lot into boxes and geometrical form, which really rigid boundaries. But if we look more into the nature or other landscapes which are naturally in our world, these are much more into organic shapes. And this is also something we would like to explore and to provide also an experience for us in different kind of mediums. So from virtual reality, but also something we explored before and also until now with animation, installations, and so on. And this exploring with fluid configurations also gives us a bigger level of freedom and creativity in the process. So virtual space for us represents an opportunity to reimagine the very essence of design. It offers a realm where this rigidity of static walls, of ceilings, buildings can dissipate and can also leave space to more dynamic sensations, such as, for example, movement, pulsation, vibration, and so on. So the space itself is not just something static where we inhabit, but also becomes an active element we are in constant exchange with. And this is where we see the potential in the virtual space. So if we deal into spatial experimentation and organic design, this is something we have worked together for the past 5 years, and we explored in all kind of different medium and technologies. And one example here is also the connection between the physical and the virtual world. So we often work together with 3D point cloud scan, also taking real places, but also working with them in a different way than just like having a perfect representation of the physical in the digital.
Yeah, here's an example I'm making of snippet from Synthetic Bodies. This was a short film realized in 2020. And what we did here is exactly what Flavia said. We took real places from Vienna, we 3D scanned them and brought them into the virtual. But for us, it is really important in our process of working that everything we take, we don't consider static. Everything should be dynamic, should be moving. Nothing is completely robust and static. So while we explore these different realms, we always imagine how can we transform these things? What can they become? How can we become more hybrid in the way we express in our projects?
And this is something which we explore not just in the physical representation of the space itself, but also in how we understand ourselves, or like the representation of our bodies and the movement. And this is a project we work in 2021 together with the Viennese Association Speakerat for art and cultural projects. And here we were requested to, we were recording movements of performers with a depth sensor. But our idea also here was not to have a static or perfect representation of the body of the performers, but we were interested in going beyond that and showing something different. So the story itself, the narration which was being told in the performance was also really personal to the performers themselves, and we wanted to transmit more emotions and the struggles which were told instead of just having a perfect representation of the bodies. So we also worked a lot with blurring the faces, with creating a more hybridity in the movements to transmit different layers.
Moving on with performance, we work really closely with different performers, and for us it's a really exciting process in also giving the performer a lot of freedom in expression. For us, it is really important or interesting to explore the way we translate these expressions. Here, for example, we recorded some mock-up data, simple mock-up data, where we abandoned the definite avatar at the end, but rather we're focusing on the actual skeleton, actual joint moving through space. And while we were creating these animations for the short film, we were trying to imagine what kind of spatial configuration might evolve from these movements. So basically, we were starting to trace these movements in space. And while we were trying to communicate this to the performers, she was really excited to try to reimagine herself as not being this physical or represented avatar in the film, but rather becoming some kind of geometrical shape and moving through space.
So actually, we could say that behind this, our research for intertwined relations between body, movement, and space, we always come back to this also really basic geometric elements, such as particles, points, or organic lines. And we always look for these shapes, which can also find back in our natural environment. So also in these two examples, these are two stills from two different projects, and in both cases, these are actually top view of movements of people moving in space. And for us, it was really important here that you have the first time that you see these images that you cannot even reconnect to the human movement anymore, but it is really like you go beyond so much that you could also think in some cases that it's just an underwater landscape or vibrant energy particles and forces. So the body really completely dissolves and leaves space also to different perspectives and points of view.
Another important aspect in our works is the term of scale. So what kind of scale are we presenting to the viewers or the visitors of an installation? So here is an example where we utilized a 3D scan of a really technical object of a facade. And we were kind of, while we explored this object in 3D, we were realizing that changing the scale and the way we fly through these objects in this really microscopic sense the perception of this object completely changes. So when you see this animation here, for example, these tubes at the end become more like a tree or a really organic growing element. So this way we provide new ways of perceiving or bringing the viewer into these new images. We also challenge the imagination of the viewers themselves.
And I think this is something which also brings us then to virtual reality, this possibility to look at things from different scales and different points of view. The possibility also to move in space and perceive space in new ways is something which we find especially fascinating in virtual reality, where especially in a realm where you are one-on-one immersed in a space, what does it mean to have a different scale than the human one? So we started experimenting with virtual reality already back in 2019, and we also here we were mostly looking at these abstract organic shapes. These were some of our early works. And also here, building upon our previous work and experience with point cloud scans, we were also looking at new approaches, how to deal between the physical and the virtual world. So in this VR project, which is a VR game we are currently developing, we decided to work once more with the particle aesthetics and use more aspects from the VR technology and interaction to offer a new kind of experience. So once again, here the intention behind was not just to reproduce a copy of the physical world by scanning parts from the city of Vienna, but we decided to use incomplete fragments to have a collection of memories from past, present, and future, which give a completely incomplete understandings of the environment with which you interact with.
Also, the way we approach spatial design or game design in general varies completely if you talk about VR. Basically, also when we try to imagine how we walk through, it's not only one perspective what we can provide the viewer, but there is multiple ones. You can rotate around 360 degrees, look around, you are completely immersed. And also the perspective you are in, so the way you see the scale you feel inside virtual reality is a really crucial aspect what we always take in consideration. And here you see small fragments of a park. And basically how we approach it is we use a technique of 3D collaging. So we take different fragments of the environment, we cut it together and restitch it to new configurations. Also really interesting is the way everything is in motion. This is a concept we have throughout all our projects, and while you are inside VR, having everything vibrant, moving around, reacting to you, is something really important because you really enter the space itself, and by touching things, what we also see later, you interact with your surroundings.
Yes, so this interaction we have here in the game, interacting with particles. So what we were saying before, then also the surroundings, also just a wall could be alive, also becomes true in this experience where you can just touch in surfaces, touch in trees, also walls or buildings, and have an interaction, and they also react to the way you touch them. So we see here the big potential of VR, of the medium VR, to engage with interacting directly with the surroundings. And this interaction becomes really a really important part of our projects. We are always searching for these reactive environments and this exchange and loop between ourselves, the way we interact, and also the answer of the environment. So talking about interaction, this is also another project where we are dealing with interaction in a different way. So this is in a more indirect way through the brain activity. So this is a project we worked on 2020, 2021, an interactive XR installation we developed in a team of 4 people. So we were together with Manuel's brother Michel and Immanuel Ramses, a neuroscientist. So the project itself focused on a customized virtual spatial design based on the individual sensations of well-being. And we were working here with BCI, which stands for Brain-Computer Interface, and virtual reality. So also here it was really interesting for us to look at this reactive process, aiming to design an individual and abstract landscape where the visitor feels well inside. So we look at this feedback loop between the reaction of the person, of the visitor itself, and also the reaction of the abstract landscape, which reacts and transforms in real time.
So for us, it was really exciting to work as artists on this project. It was a complete interdisciplinary project, meaning we crossed over different disciplines from neuroscience to art and spatial configurations in VR. And our part was to design these spaces, this virtual configuration, which emerges from the data we collected with the EEG headset. Everything happened in real time, so the data we received got evaluated in terms of well-being and then brought into the virtual configuration, which in exchange transformed itself and adapted based on the data received. It was really an experimental process, also a lot of learning and exchanging between the different disciplines. And here you see some stills and how it looked inside VR. So basically, our design focus was to provide something really abstract, detached from walls and ceilings and physical spaces we know, but showing something organic, moving, and where you feel like diving, scuba diving underwater and exploring some underwater formations.
Yeah, this is a short clip from one of the physical installations we had, in this case from the Digital Art Festival in Zurich back in 2021. And we also had a projection for other visitors to see in real time the transformation of the lines. So it created kind of really interesting situation where people who were waiting for the time were also looking at how the lines were changing and also interested to see what will be their result. So every design at the end was different, given the thickness of the lines, the density, the volume, and many other parameters. So it was also really exciting to see also the reaction of the visitor around. And with this project, we wanted to bring also here two aspects. On the one hand, the interactivity and having this reactive surroundings. And on the other hand, also the exploration of abstract organic shapes that we already saw before, which is something which is also really a key element in our development in VR. So this is also another project we are currently working on, another VR game. And also here, also for the talk, it's not a purpose to talk what is the game really about, but it's more this exploration of the landscape itself. So in this case, we wanted to bring the players, the visitor, into this surreal world where organic structure can go beyond these laws of physics. So there is no clear up and down, and there are these abstract shapes, and also we would like to give a lot of freedom also of imagination to the people who are experiencing it. So by just going through, you can imagine some of them like mountains or caves and so on, and also understanding space, how you would like to.
Yeah, so basically while we were designing, there's a lot of playtesting involved, and this is just a small aspect of the game itself, but the landscape itself is a really important aspect from it. And the way we approach this organicness is in trying to see it as not something totally defined. We would like that players can play with the imagination. We don't define this is a mountain, this is a cave. It's something there, and you can name it how you want it. Some see a hill, some even interpret a mountain, some see an alien-like ship or something. But for us, it's rather to provide something which is explorable, which is really exciting, and provides some new ways of looking around and also challenging your orientation and trying to explore this world.
And I think here is kind of we crossed then another important point that we would like to have with this today, which is on the one hand providing a kind of space which can be perceived and explored, but on the other hand also the way we create this space themselves, because we are also if we work for VR, and with VR we also want to work with the medium VR itself and shape these landscapes directly in VR. So this is actually where we come to the third point of our talk today, which is using VR as a creative medium itself. And this is where we see the potential of VR, not just a medium to be experienced and perceived, but also really to create. So in comparison to other forms of design, such as 2D or 3D programs on the computer, where you have this detachment, you have still a mouse, you have to move it through and work in these 3D environments, and sometimes you also spend a lot of time at the beginning because you want to have it polished and so on. VR, it's really great also in our experience, especially in working with this abstract environment, organic shapes. You can be really fast modeling in tools like, for example, Gravity Sketch or Adobe Medium VR, and have this intuition, like you just move your hands free, so it feels more like a sketch, and you have it also like in a three-dimensional sense. And we work a lot at the beginning, especially to sketch ideas, talk together. Also, you can also work together in VR and have this transmitting like ideas from your mind to a virtual space in a really intuitive way before then reworking on them on other 3D software.
Yeah, here is a recording of a really important element. We at Immerea, we really focus on an intuitive workflow. So it's more intuitive it is to design things, it's more creative you can be. And for us, this possibility to scale the model freely, rotate it around, flip it, and so on, is something really important. And a really crucial aspect in designing worlds for VR is the possibility to have your model and then to scale it up on a one-on-one scale. And immediately you see how it will look at the end. This is especially useful when you make level design, when you want to have certain key moments in your level, or also for installations. So rough sketches, first models doing in this is, for example, Gravity Sketch, is something we do all the time, and it's a really important tool in our workflow. Also, the way to model things is completely different than doing it with a mouse. When you do it with the mouse and keyboard, you are more or less detached. You translate the movement to something 3D on the screen. And by using these 3D modeling tools in VR, you are directly sculpting on the things. Here in Gravity Sketch is low poly modeling, but you can also have other more sculpting tools in VR, which feels like literally working with a bunch of clay. Here you see a typical workflow when we brainstorm, when we do some blockouts of levels. So basically we talk about, we draw some 3D lines, which is really easy and intuitive. And then we start low poly modeling it, moving it around, trying to understand what we want to achieve. So this aspect and this creative free workflow is something we really push in our company further.
So yeah, just like to conclude, we would like again to bring like our approach to VR, which we look VR more than just a tool, but or more as a medium through which new realities can also be crafted. We would like to bring new possibility, explore beyond boundaries, and this is something which we are trying in VR and also other technologies, and we love when this creativity also from our artistic background come together with the creative industries. So we are Manuel and Flavia, and if you are interested in Immerea and our work, we are happy to talk to you later, or please just contact us. And thank you so much for your attention.
Wonderful. Meraviglioso Flavio, cosa meravigliosa, adorei, è stato veramente magico, una cosa di un altro pianeta, questa cosa del VR. Okie dokie, so we have time for one question, everyone, okay? You are the lucky one. Use your time wisely, sir.
Thank you very much. very short question. Are any of your games or experiences online available in the Quest store or somewhere?
No, unfortunately not yet. We have one finished demo and working on the second one. But if you are a publisher, please contact us. You're welcome
just like
to
that.
receive the demo.
Boom!
We are looking for publishers.
Yeah,
So yeah.
we are looking for publishers, yes.
Wonderful, but after all, it is very artistic, inherently. So that's what I tell my students. Think immersive within immersive. Stop thinking about Newton's laws and start creating crazy stuff without just doing digital twins for the enterprises, which are relevant. But when you want to go cuckoo creatively, just do that crazy stuff. Flavia, Manuel, wonderful. Another round of applause for them.